little mental flips can generate economic value and happiness where none existed before, at incidentally no environmental cost. I'll come back to that theme in a second. Now, what he was doing was exactly the same as the great creative director of J. Walter Thompson called James Webb Young. Has anybody read How to Become an Advertising Man? When he retired, of course, mandatory, I imagine. When he retired to an apple farm about 30 miles south of Santa Fe in New Mexico. And he bought this, I think, intending to retire and tend to the orchards. And he discovered a pretty rapid problem, which is that at high altitude, because Santa Fe is kind of in the lower reaches of the Rockies, and it would have been about sort of 5,000 or 6,000 feet up. Before you could harvest the apples, there were ruddy great hailstorms, which bashed the apples so they looked like golf balls. And so they looked pretty weird, and none of the usual intermediaries were prepared to buy them. Now, had he been a sad person, he would have just gone, God, that last farmer really ripped me off, didn't he? I shouldn't have bought this place. What a terrible mistake. Let's just sell them as pig feed. But he didn't do that. He sold them direct to the consumer by mail order and turned the pitting from the hailstones from being a disadvantage into a feature. He didn't say pitted by hailstones. He said dimpled by the heavens. There you go. There's a copywriter for you. And he sold them by mail order and said proof of the high altitude at which these magnificent apples are grown is the external dimpling, which comes from early hailstorms before the harvest comes. And it was then sold almost as a bit of a conversation piece. Look at my New Mexico apples. You can actually go to the farm still and buy the apples. He donated it, I think, to the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque after he died. Now, that's really, really interesting. It's also really, really important because it enforces Hamlet's point that there's nothing either good nor bad, but only thinking makes it so. Which I think is kind of, the central tenet of advertising thinking, that a large part of value is psychological and not objective.